Modern accounting systems are drowning in transaction data, frequent regulatory updates, and endless compliance paperwork. To manage this volume, the Big Four in India are deploying artificial intelligence at an industrial scale. At firms like PwC India, employees are generating over 10,000 AI queries a day, with total query volumes growing 30% every 45 days. This rapid adoption has fueled a widespread industry misconception: the assumption that the technology is becoming an autonomous system capable of independently calculating and filing corporate taxes. That autonomous future is blocked by a core engineering conflict. There is a rigid friction between how artificial intelligence operates and how tax law functions. This diagram shows the root of the problem. On the left, generative AI is probabilistic. It statistically guesses the most likely next output based on patterns. On the right, tax liability is deterministic. Litigation positions require a precise, singular answer. Bridging this probabilistic gap requires a structural redesign of data and consulting workflows, rather than the simple replacement of tax expertise. Achieving the promised 150 to 250% return on investment requires deploying AI as a heavily constrained orchestration engine, operating over strictly curated data. Before any algorithms can even begin to function, the raw material has to be refined. That means ingesting enterprise data, historical work papers, and external tax rules. This is where most implementations break down. 72% of tax departments suffer from data quality issues, like inconsistent formatting or missing records, that derail AI deployment from day one. Tax data lives in fragmented systems, and trying to connect them usually leads to jammed pipelines and budget overruns. Successful firms build a tiered data strategy. Raw data passes through 4 filtration layers. First, standardization and system integration force disparate records into consistent formats. Then, the data lake and metadata tiers consolidate information, tagging every item to strictly track its lineage. Organizations that deploy this strict data pipeline achieve a 2.3 times higher success rate in their AI tax initiatives compared to teams that rush straight into algorithm deployment. Once the data is structured, the technology must be matched to the task. AI operates in different ways, and different domains of tax require entirely different technological stacks based on their specific regulatory rigidity. This matrix plots tax functions against implementation complexity and ROI. In the indirect tax quadrant, high-volume tasks like GST processing are handled by basic automation. Optical character recognition scans invoices, and machine learning instantly sorts them into correct classifications. Applying these tools yields a 30 to 40% reduction in compliance hours and up to a 20% decrease in tax leakage. Now move to the transfer pricing quadrant. Evaluating arm's-length transactions across borders requires a significant increase in implementation complexity. In this domain, AI is utilized strictly to generate initial documentation and benchmark data. It can reduce prep time by 60%, but it cannot make the final regulatory determination. ROI is maximized by matching the specific AI tier to the deterministic demands of the regulatory domain, rather than trying to force generative AI into every problem. That leaves the most complex advisory and litigation questions. Standard machine learning is not sophisticated enough to handle deep legal reasoning, and relying on a single generative AI prompt is far too risky for a final tax position. To solve this, firms use agentic AI workflows. A central supervisory node manages a system acting like a team of specialized professionals. These agents collaborate simultaneously, conducting legal precedent research, extracting financial data, and summarizing findings before passing refined outputs back for assembly. The supervisory AI coordinates the entire process, tightly controlling context to prevent hallucinations and block unverified information. Then comes the final failsafe. The assembled output moves through a human expert review gate, where a partner applies final determinative judgment. Agentic AI bridges the probabilistic gap. It isolates the machine's statistical guessing to constrained microtasks and relies on human orchestration to guarantee a deterministic final product. This pyramid shows the value generated by implementing strict data pipelines and agentic workflows. At the wide base is efficiency. This foundational tier represents 40 to 60% reductions in compliance time and cost, achieved primarily through basic automation and character recognition. Moving up to accuracy and risk management, firms see significant improvements in anomaly detection because the system applies rules with rigid consistency. At the peak are strategic benefits. Firms use data-driven forecasting to identify planning opportunities, reducing effective tax rates by 15%. Achieving these metrics has triggered a macroeconomic consequence. Because AI now automates those foundational research and drafting layers, the traditional accounting business model is facing a structural crisis. For decades, firms relied on the consulting pyramid, billing thousands of hours from a wide base of junior staff. But now, clients demand faster turnarounds without proportionate headcount increases. The bottom two-thirds of the pyramid is being automated. To survive this shift, the Big Four are pivoting. They are embedding technology specialists directly into their tax teams to build proprietary AI platforms, and then selling those ecosystems directly to corporate clients on a subscription basis. Ultimately, the